Hey, it's Molly. Welcome back to my channel as we discuss the Aries New Moon happening on April 17th, 2026, exact at 7:51 a.m. That's Eastern Time, so be sure and adjust for your location. The Aries New Moon is occurring at 27 degrees of Aries, 28 minutes in your chart, where we have the Sun and the Moon conjunct, beginning a new cycle together. And there is a very strong emphasis on beginnings here, since this is not only a new moon, but it's occurring in the first sign of the zodiac, Aries. And we have a strong lineup of planets in Aries. In fact, 2 stelliums that we're going to be discussing. So there is supercharged starting points that are happening here in the middle of April. Maybe you've been feeling that or sensing it, but it's about to take off and perhaps even move too fast at times because of all this fire energy we have lining up. We're going to break it down and get into more of the specifics, of course, but let's start by discussing this conjunction between the Sun and the Moon. It's occurring here towards the end of Aries season, which is currently the rhythm of each of the new moons. So this means that the new moon is happening after the Sun has traveled through 27, almost 28 degrees of Aries, and there has been a new beginning you've been aware of. Feeling it, sensing it, perhaps even feeling like it's arriving, something is developing. Throughout Aries season, there has been a focus on what are you intentionally creating next in your life. These are very big starting point energies because of all the planets in Aries. But with the new moon at the end of the sign, there's been a development underway, bringing you into greater alignment with what you really want. And maybe throughout Aries season, you've been filtering out some things, testing it, questioning it, pondering it, really coming into a fuller self-awareness around what truly matters to you. This is a new moon that's also based on greater self-actualization, knowing more of who you are at this point in your life. It's also less impulsive. Whereas the energies at the beginning of Aries tend to be more excitable. They tend to be more impulsive, impatient, ready to go for it. But here towards the end of the sign, there's been a gradual process unfolding that has brought you into a new sense of what you want to say yes towards, what you want to move into, and where you're feeling perhaps more courageous. And that could be something that's been unfolding throughout Aries season is courage has been strengthening and it's supporting you now in this new start. And right after this new moon, the moon will enter into Taurus. And then 2 days later, the sun enters into Taurus on April 19th. And this is where practical assessment occurs because the Aries energy can say yes to a lot of things, although now there is greater refinement towards the end of Aries season here. So there's been a refinement, and as the planets move into Taurus, there's an understanding of what it takes to make it real. And that's because Taurus is fixed earth, where you take the inspirations, energy, and excitement of Aries and put it into a tangible form. And so that's part of choosing or initiating something here with the new moon, is that there's a realization that very quickly you're going to see if it has legs. You're going to understand if it works, if it's well thought through. That Taurus energy is going to give you an understanding of what is needed, what's essential, what does it cost? Because you can have all the ideas and inspiration in the world, but when it takes bringing it into a form, there's more that you have to consider. So keep that in mind during the Aries new moon, is that you could have some tests from the real world. You could have some new understandings of what is needed, not what you thought or what you were visualizing. This is now going to be something that you create that's going to truly land and can be further built. Now I'm going to bring the chart closer into view, but I wanted to highlight how most of the planets are over here in this side of your chart. Obviously, 2 lineups in Aries, then the pairing here in Taurus, and also this Jupiter in Cancer. So in the first 4 signs of the zodiac, we have a great focus here on what is being developed. But I want to bring this now in closer to view, just to discuss more of what's going on here in the Aries areas of your chart. So the sun and the moon are conjunct Chiron at 26 degrees, and also conjunct Eris, not pictured, at 25 degrees of Aries. Eris is located beyond Pluto. She's known as a TNO, trans-Neptunian object. Any planet or asteroid beyond Neptune is a TNO. And that means that energy has more of a deeper, unspoken influence, especially on our psyche. And so Eris is here at 25 degrees, Aries conjunct Chiron, and all together they are initiating a new cycle in what your soul is healing, bringing your attention to a starting point with this Chiron and Eris energy that is a reset, a new beginning in what Chiron has been moving you through, in understanding more about who you are, your right to exist, your ability to be an individual and to be yourself. Chiron brings up themes of trauma, abuse, rejection, abandonment. Chiron was abandoned and was rejected by his own mother, was abandoned and an outcast with the other centaurs because Chiron was more intelligent, softer, wiser, wanted to be with the earth, and was the first medicine man, alchemist. Chiron was the energy of understanding what is needed to heal something. And so Chiron had his cave where he also created his apothecary and was sought after for his healing remedies and for his medicine, for what he could offer that people couldn't find on their own. Chiron represents where maybe you felt orphaned or rejected and you had to go off on your own path to establish something on your own and on your own terms. This Chiron is also about the alternative path, outside of the mainstream, taking the longer, more winding road perhaps, but understanding what comes up along the way is part of the medicine. All of this plays into the Aries new moon of becoming more of that healed warrior who acts from a place of greater self-awareness and intentionality. So there's a powerful reset here. Then we have the Eris energy. And Eris is the feminine that won't be silenced. She isn't looking to be liked or understood necessarily. She's looking to be in her truth at all costs. This, of course, can be something that others find quite triggering. Eris is a catalyst for disagreements. She is a catalyst for the parts of ourselves that have something to unleash that's very primal and raw. So when we assess all 4 of these energies together, Eris, Chiron, Moon, and the Sun, here in Aries, there is a new understanding of who you came here to be that's breaking patterns, breaking cycles, that's allowing you to embody more of your raw primal truth, but there is greater maturity that is possible. There's a greater understanding of what you want to move towards and how you want to act. And this again is important because that Aries energy can be too fiery at times. And especially with these primal energies, people could be acting from their wounded state, or they could be triggered to see something in themselves that they didn't realize was operating in their unconscious programming. So this is essentially a new moon, bringing you into a deeper connection with your own healing story. And I feel like Chiron is standing here quietly offering you insights and wisdom that you already know. Because this Chiron has already been at 26 degrees of Aries, this is territory you've already traveled and learned from. And part of the reset is this deeper embodiment and integration from your healed self. And so Chiron is asking, how would your healed self move forward? How would your loving, compassionate self move forward? And that could be a big part of the newness you sense or feel at a very personal level. So this is one stellium here in Aries. The second stellium is occurring here in the beginning of the sign with Neptune, Mercury, Mars, and Saturn all conjunct in the early degrees of Aries, initiating a new start that became highly active with Mars moving into Aries. That's because Mars is now in his home sign where he is courageous, he's a leader, he feels powerful in what he's beginning. He is ready to go and to set off on the next journey, on the next hero's journey that's beginning. This is starting a new 2-year cycle. But this Mars is interesting because he already had his exact conjunction with Neptune, also with Mercury, and is coming up to an exact conjunction with this Saturn a few days after this new moon. So this is a Mars who now acts differently, moves differently, and is feeling the responsibilities here of Saturn, that what he says yes to matters. And there could be something here that you're seeing in yourself for the first time or seeing in a whole new light. There's strong physical energy here, body energy, simply because Mars in Aries is your physical energy level. It's your adrenaline. It's what gets your blood racing. It's your desire to go for it. This also includes primal sexual energy. This also includes what you determine is a part of your values, like how you want to show up, what you want to do to demonstrate who you are. And the conjunction with Saturn is a reality check of some kind. Saturn is also about chronic issues in the body, chronic pain, chronic things that take time to heal and change. So do keep in mind that you could have some strong messages from your body here around what needs your attention, especially in terms of your vitality, your life force, what you are wanting to accomplish. This could be a strong energy at the Aries New Moon. Mars was conjunct this Neptune, which would have diluted his life force. Basically, this Mars, even though he's in his own sign, he's struggling to get going here because that conjunction to Neptune would have drained something from him, would have felt like I don't have my normal energy levels, and I'm sensing that I'm not supposed to force anything. And so as he moves between Neptune and Saturn, Mars is feeling quite limited here. Restrained, diluted. It's actually part of his spiritual awakening because this Neptune brought into his awareness the bigger picture of his soul journey and the spiritual guidance he's meant to incorporate moving ahead. And Saturn is that checking in point. And so I feel that this Mars actually isn't going to really take off until after the conjunction with Saturn. Once Mars gets to the second decan of Aries, so once Mars gets to, let's say, 10 degrees, then he's going to feel more charged up and ready to go. But at this time, this is masculine energy that is becoming more spiritual and more mature and is understanding consequences, responsibilities, commitments, is also getting some big downloads here because that Neptune conjunct Mars is the surrender of the ego. And then we have this Mercury also in the mix, as you can see. And the Mercury is fast moving in Aries, has a lot of thoughts, a lot of understandings that appear rapidly. This is fast communications and developments, but it's also had a slowdown with the conjunction to Neptune, which means you could miss something. I didn't hear that properly, or I forgot to say a certain detail. That would have been energy that removed something that Mercury was meant to logically understand. But there's heightened intuitive understandings of what's essential and what's important. Mercury conjunct Mars is speaking too fast, taking on too much. And that could be an influence here of almost suddenly feeling overwhelmed by all the things that need to be done. And Saturn is saying, you've got to complete it. You've got to take care of this. And these things are important. So there could be something that comes up around, especially the week before the new moon, when there's a lot you need to do or take care of, and it comes about or it shows up rapidly right in front of you. And that could create even a lot of anxiety, like, oh my goodness, all of a sudden I have a really short deadline to get something done, but I've got to get it done. So this stellium has a lot of energy here. There's a lot going on in terms of what you're beginning and creating that could feel like you're learning to work with your own energy in a whole new way. You're learning how to organize all this in a brand new way, including what to let go of, which is the Neptune in Aries, where maybe you thought, oh yeah, I can take on all this. I can do all these things. And then it's like, actually, it's too much. I have to let it go. And Saturn says, yes, you need to let it go. You need to have greater boundaries around your time and your commitment level. You can't say yes to everything that excites you or inspires you. Let's make sure that what you're saying yes to, you can follow through on. It has a structure, it has a plan. So in addition then to all four of these here in the early degrees of Aries, they're supported beautifully by this Pluto at 5 degrees of Aquarius. Also important to note that all these planets are direct. That means fewer obstacles, less slowdowns. There's an acceleration that occurs when all planets are direct. And this Pluto has been influential now for a number of weeks, simply because Pluto has been in a sextile to Saturn in Aries which I've been discussing here on the channel. And now we see that this Pluto is in a direct sextile to Mars, also sextiling Neptune and Mercury. So this brings in a surge of energy and force to what you're creating or what you're initiating that is bigger than you, simply because that Pluto in Aquarius expands the vision, capacity, people, and energies. It makes these things that you're working on or working through more significant at a soul level. And there could be fears that you are powerfully facing about the new starts that are underway, because the sextile from Pluto gives you the strength to face things head on and say, okay, I feel the fear. I feel the fear in maybe new levels of being courageous, or something independent, or something you're doing on your own for the first time in your life. And here's Pluto saying, you've totally got this. This is part of your soul growth in this lifetime. This is a new part of yourself emerging, claiming your power and your spiritual wisdom, operating with new levels of self-understanding. And this Pluto is giving you perhaps even more support behind the scenes. So I'm feeling it as something like behind one's back, a supportive energy, almost like a beautiful 18-foot spirit guide, helping you move forward and reminding you that moving forward is the only path here. There's no going back. There's nothing behind you to look at or check in with. This is a very intense, forward-moving energy that I feel like it's taking us out of this lifetime and saying, like, this is the timeline that you are coded to have these new beginnings. Like, you are energetically ready for a new start here that could not have happened sooner, or at least it wouldn't have happened as rapidly. But there's strength here, power, and paradigm shifting developments. So in your own chart, you would look at where you have this Pluto at 5 degrees of Aquarius, sextiling these 4 transiting planets in Aries. And this is the development of what you are moving towards and creating. And then you look here, also in the late degrees of Aries, which is what you are initiating from that matured, more self-actualized place of claiming what you want. Okay, so back to the full chart. Now you can see that we also have Venus in her home sign of Taurus, approaching a final conjunction to Uranus at 29 degrees of Taurus. This would be the final conjunction in our lifetime of this Venus and Uranus in Taurus. And in fact, this is one of the final weeks of Uranus and Taurus before it enters Gemini on April 25th. And so there is a shakeup that's being felt here in terms of what you value, what you need, and what is important. And that could be directly related to this new self, this new sense of self that's emerging, where something could be bursting open for you, setting you free from any earthly restraints or anything you thought you had to carry forward or take with you. Venus is connected to feminine energies. I do want to note that Venus in Taurus is the feminine in her strong energy, and Mars in Aries is the masculine in his strong energy. So we have lovely masculine and feminine energies here at this time which support both your yin yang, anima, animus, and masculine and feminine energies internally. But this feminine energy here of Venus is breaking free from something. And this could be showing up as surprises, disruptions, awakenings. This could be something that you have owned that you want to sell or get rid of. The Taurus energy is what we possess and accumulate. It's the money we make, it's the creations we make. You might realize that you have a new creative chapter that is ready to start, and you're done with the previous version of that. This energy feels quite powerful, like I'm feeling it as this pulsing frequency of energies coming forward. And because it's at this last critical degree of Taurus, it's setting you free to move forward. It could be something you've been contemplating, sitting in, and now the energy wants to be let loose. This is disruptive, rebellious, revolutionary. It feels like it's going to be a time too of something in our cultural values changing, especially within the feminine. This could be reaching a breaking point, part of that breaking free. So right after this Aries new moon is exact, this Venus continues to feel the powerful changes of Uranus over the next week after the new moon. So this is going to be a big area of the chart too. This can relate directly to your finances and money. This is when we could be seeing even more fluctuations in the financial markets, in the economy, even interest rates change here. There can be a lot going on with cryptocurrencies, and certainly prices rising and then dropping again. That's part of the Uranus and Taurus influence. But again, this is the final weeks of Uranus and Taurus. So whatever has been delayed that needs to change for the greater good of all will be happening around this new moon. Now, this Jupiter is at 17 degrees of Cancer now. And this is going to be a softer influence of where you seek to have a break, where you want to get away from all of the busyness and pressure and even all the fiery energy that's in the chart here. The Jupiter in Cancer is where you tune out and drift away in order to regulate your emotional body, your mind. It's where you want to take a break. And so even though this Jupiter is not really aspected here, I mean, you could say that it is still in a sextile to Venus. This Jupiter is on your own, but I feel like this is a reminder for self-care and what you need to take care of in yourself emotionally right now. Just to hear yourself, to be aware of everything that maybe you're containing or feeling. This is even just giving yourself, a Saturday to yourself or an evening to yourself or something that is about your own energy. I'm getting the visual of a sponge that needs to be squeezed and drained out because that Cancer energy can absorb a lot, especially in Jupiter. And so there could be a sense here of what you have taken on and absorbed that's just become too much, and you need to get rid of it, filter it out, drain it out, whatever the case may be. So I feel that this Jupiter is a reminder to listen to yourself, check in on how you're feeling. This is the energy too of, I don't feel like going after I said yes. or I don't feel like doing something even though I thought I would. This Jupiter in Cancer is inconsistent. And it's interesting because it's ruled by the moon. And we know that that moon is here in Aries, conjunct Chiron and Aries. So there could be something here that you're feeling a retraction from, or that you're sensing. And I'm feeling like there's a heightened sensitivity with this Jupiter in Cancer to just stay mindful of what you're feeling, of what that's about, and to have some healthy ways to work through it. So all in all, this is a supercharged Aries new moon of a lot of beginnings. You might be feeling that in the collective energy field. There can be a lot of emotions, actions, and developments occurring that can feel quite exciting. And for some, it could feel overwhelming and that it's all too fast and all too much. But do keep in mind that once this Uranus moves into Gemini, April 25th, there is going to be a new accelerated pace of life that we're going to be living with and living from. So this is certainly ushering in the new, providing an important reset here to healing themes. And there's going to be a lot of movement that I think is going to be undeniable. And so I hope this brings in beautiful new starts for you, abundant blessings, open pathways, clear messages, inspiration to move ahead, and to know that this is going to be a very fast-moving year. 2026 is really going to take off after this Aries new moon. So may that connect you with the best next developments on your path. As always, thank you so much for your time and energy. I love your comments. I'm so grateful for this community and what you share here, but also how you support one another and just how you're able to relate and come together through astrology. So please know that I'm very grateful for you, and I'll be back soon with another chart video. So have a lovely Aries new moon, and I'll see you back here soon.